Good evening and welcome back to another edition of the Watchpoint Post-Show live from the Blizzard Arena in Los Angeles. I'm your humble and gracious host, Malik Forte, and joined, as always, by Zoe and Sideshow. And we got Hex, who's filling in for Bryn. Bryn wasn't feeling great, and so he currently is sitting in quarantine somewhere far away from the studio so he doesn't get everybody sick. But thanks for jumping in.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm in a sick man's seat with a sick man's microphone. And yeah, I should be here tomorrow, hopefully.
Don't nick it.
Don't worry, we wiped down that whole section with disinfectant, so you're good. Well, Hex, since you were kind enough to jump in off the bench, let's start with you. What did you learn today?
I mean, it's kind of the same thing I learned last week, is that there's really good teams, and then there's everybody else. And it's not even close. And I don't know, map 4, what do you do anymore?
I know. Well, at least it's more than just one team, because last year was New York and then everybody else.
Yeah,
but this
pretty
year,
much.
There's more teams there.
Yeah.
All right, so what about you, Sideshow?
I think I'm going to throw a bone again to some of the lower teams in the league. I think that the Florida Mayhem, what I've learned about their play is that the communication issue kind of thing doesn't seem to be completely just a cop-out excuse for them. They are actually performing slightly better now that they've gone with that full Korean roster that can all communicate well together. And I thought that was maybe like a bit of smoke and mirrors, a bit of misdirection, and they're like, actually, we're just going to pick up a lot of really good Korean.
Right.
But I think actually what we've seen from them so far is that they are able to pull off the triple tank, triple support, BQB being on Sombra with a little more communication now that they are all speaking the same language.
They are synergizing, for sure. Very impressive today. Zoe, what about you?
They kind of both took my points already. We should really start discussing this prior
Don't
to the
triple
segment.
down on your point.
No, I'm not tripling down on my points.
Okay.
You know what? I learned today that whether Hurek plays or not, he will always remain undefeated. It's factual.
Hurek, the most winningest player in Overwatch
It
history. All right, guys. Well, the Vancouver Titans still look like juggernauts in the Overwatch League, and they were looking to keep their unbeaten season alive when they faced off against the Dallas Fuel today. And coming out of halftime, the Titans were in a good spot, sitting up 2-0. If Dallas was going to strike, a map that the Titans had less time on would be where they would do it. But the Titans looked, though not with ease, good, and they kept their winning ways on full throttle here at Blizzard World.
Yeah, when I was watching this, I got very scared for the Dallas Fuel when I was looking at their defense because they got rolled through and there was still 2 minutes on the clock. But then Dallas did a similar thing on their own offense. And I think the way that they're playing around OG, I love the confidence that this guy has. Look, still like a minute left on the clock when they're able to capitalize at the end. Note coming out with 2 great Graviton Surge eats as well onto Somin Su, and then they just weren't able to pull it out at the final moments. I mean, there was only a tiny difference between those 2 teams on Blizzard World, but then a couple of the other maps ended up just being fairly dominant for Titans.
I do want to like hammer home the point you made earlier today, which is just that the majority of the teams, in this case Dallas Fuel, they give Vancouver too much space. That's why the more aggressive and creative strats actually worked against them, because if you give Vancouver so much space to actually make those big plays and you allow them to play their game and more so their tempo, then you're gonna lose.
I suppose. What do you do with like Twilight when you have Hanamura? Like, there's 5 guys standing in the way to try to protect him, and he's just sitting up there the whole time. You send Note up there, he's gonna get sleep darted and then pinned by something. So it's almost impossible. It's easier said than done. You can see it on the overhead, like they need to do this, but it's hard to do.
That's why I'm not getting paid to play. I'm getting paid to tell them how to. I guess.
I think something interesting though that hasn't come out of this match, which maybe should have, is that all we were talking about in the Outlaws Titans games was, should they have been more creative with their compositions? The map pool this time actually favored Dallas more than it did Outlaws, and yet we didn't really see that much creative stuff come out. On Hanamura, you can run some different stuff on the defense, but they chose to match triple tank, triple support. It really looks like Dallas are just going hardcore in playing that composition.
Yeah, and it was triple tank, triple support just going down Main Street the whole time.
Sure.
They never really tried to push up top right, which I know is hard to do. Like, it's Hanamura, it's hard to push in last, but they just kept sitting below them and letting Twilight do whatever he wanted, then Bumper drops down on them. They did the same thing 5 pushes
And maybe they're just focusing on like getting that experience to play against the other teams.
I think so. I really do. I think they're trying to work on their 3-3 mechanics.
Could people be beating themselves at the select screen, just giving too much respect to the Vancouver Titans?
Well, if all you do is game plan for Vancouver and you're unlikely to win anyway, then you kind of cripple yourself when you play against some of the other teams. So I think the largest argument for playing triple tank, triple support into Titans is kind of like, well, we're just kind of focusing on everybody else right now because the top 3 teams are so fantastic.
We're trying to learn what we can from the Titans.
It's more of a learning experience.
All right, we'll give them that. All right, we'll give them that excuse for sure. Well, with the NYXL and the Titans both sitting undefeated at the top of the season standings, every map matters. Coming into this match against Philly today, the NYXL had exactly that on their mind. They have to do it against a team that, in our history, has defeated them more than anyone else. The Fusion, you know, not trying to be a victim of another 4-0, were able to take a map.
Yes, and I think, you know, it's a weird when we watch the Philadelphia Fusion because, again, it's another one of these teams going up against a top 3 team. And so how well did the Philadelphia Fusion play? I would say, personally, they played better than I was expecting them to. Yeah. They certainly played better than the 4-0 thrashing that they had earlier in this stage. I saw some of the players tweet afterwards they thought they could have played better. I think this was actually a step up in performance from the Philadelphia Fusion. They shouldn't feel too bad about this, I think.
Yeah, but this Mano play right here is ridiculous. Like the space he was able to create. So this is why I think NYXL is becoming a very dangerous team, because it's not just this robotic 3-3 defensive style. They're throwing some curveballs this stage.
Now, how clutch was that switch to Hammond right there at the end of that fight?
Well, it was pretty crazy, but also Jonak just sniped EQO across the point as well. So if Mano hadn't made that play, they probably would have won off the back of Jonak. And this game reaffirmed for me just how unbelievably nutty Jonak is on everything. On the May, on the Ana, on the Zenyatta. You kind of take him for granted at times.
There were so many excuses last year. Oh, he gets pocketed. Oh, they did. No, it's not really that, is it?
No, it's just every single player is pulling their weight and then some. And it's just the adaptability this team has, like in the moment, how quickly they can switch, not just their heroes, but also the way they play around their opponents. And I think this is really what always makes them come out on top.
Zoe, do you want to give a shout out to the true play of the game here in this match?
Is that Mano and Reaper?
Yes.
Oh my God, no, I don't.
Mano was wrecking.
I do not want to encourage this behavior. Absolutely not.
I will say this, after the Philadelphia Fusion won a fight here where they picked both of NYXL supports and NYXL was still able to clutch, and then they get held underneath, that's mentality breaking for the Philadelphia Fusion. And I think they'll come out of it feeling really bad because they ended on such a low note on Gibraltar. But overall, the series wasn't that bad from them. And like, Sado didn't look like he was caught out of position as much as he normally does. The whole of Philadelphia was clicking a little bit more. Carpi looked better. EQO wasn't caught out as much. And overall, what we don't mention as often with Philly is that this team in the overall standings is still not doing that badly. Right. After a really easy stage 1 and a pretty difficult stage 2, where they've still managed to grab a couple of wins, they're not doing that bad overall.
It's just such a strange day with the teams that we have, and now we're trying to look at all the teams who are not winners and say who did the least poorly, right? We're trying to pull something out of this pile of not the top 4 teams, and I don't know. I mean, like, they didn't look as bad as we expected. Is that really what you want to hear as an Overwatch team?
Right. I mean, there was still a gap there that was very noticeable.
The gap is so big as well.
Yeah.
I know.
Like, it's massive, actually.
It kind of gets worse every week, it seems.
But what I love is that last year, this gap was just between NYXL and everyone else. Like, now the Shock and the Titans are there, and they might even be above New York, so...
Ooh, hot take right there, bro. That's spicy. Well, guys, coming up, the Gladiators and the Shock look to keep pace with the NYXL and the Titans and stay undefeated in stage 2. More Watchpoint when we get back.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Nice job, Mino Park.
Bye. Hey guys, good luck.
Hey,
Thank you. Good job, Architect.
goodbye, Architect.
Oh,
Wait, don't say
shit.
good luck. Don't say good luck.
Yeah. Knock on wood.
Okay.
Knock on wood.
Okay, believe you.
Knock. It's good.
I guess the Shock are getting a little superstitious, but it's with good reason. They're chasing the Houston Outlaws' all-time consecutive map winning streak. And after beating the Defiant 4-0, they've got their number up to 16, which is only 2 off the record. And guys, as you can see here with our little box score, Super and Sinatra, they had amazing games. But on the flip side of things, IM37 and Yakpung both with 28 deaths. And to put that in reference for you guys, that's more than twice as the highest amount of deaths that anybody on the San Francisco Shock had. I believe it was Super who had 12 deaths, which was the most of anybody in the Shock.
That seems bad then.
Is it? Is it really?
It was a bit of a drubbing for sure. Toronto were just kind of getting slammed. And unfortunately, Toronto looked like they're on a bit of a downward spin. But when this game's against the San Francisco Shock, we know they don't pull any punches against the teams. So I think it's to be fairly expected. The San Francisco Shock, though, are about, in my opinion, to set a league record here. We've never had a team get more than 18 maps in a row. And weirdly, it was the Houston Outlaws that set that record all the way back in, I think, stage 1 or 2 of 2018, back when Junkrat was in the meta big time and Linksa was able to play Widowmaker a lot. So crazy streak from Houston, but Shock are on track to beat it. If they manage to get, a 3-0 against the Hangzhou Spark, they'll have got that record, and I think that just speaks to how much they love to crush opponents.
Well, and some of the players on the Shock have long Overwatch histories with some of the players on Houston and the North American scene, so they're going to want to crush at least their record as well.
The thing is, I hope to see like maybe a little bit of a crack in the armor when they made a switch. Rascal out, Architect in. Everyone's like, ooh, maybe we're going to see some weakness. No, it looked exactly the same.
Still Architect.
It was exactly the same thing. Like I didn't see any change. Not for the worse, not for the better. It was just still amazing.
I was walking.
Like, oh, okay.
I was walking past these guys in the hallway after they won, and I'm like, "Hey, why you couldn't finish that any faster?" And they just start laughing. And it's not just like, "I wanted to grab into their spawn again. We just won too quick." Like they're loving it right now.
You know, I feel like we could play a drinking game for how many eliminations they get out of the other team's spawn.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And when I say drinking, I mean Coca-Cola, the official sponsor of the Overwatch League. That's what I mean by drinking.
Safe.
But,
Yeah, good work.
They're killing it, guys. They're killing it. All right, well, it seems like this was the theme of the day today, but the Gladiators are also trying to keep pace with the other top teams today and stay undefeated in Stage 2 when they faced off against the Florida Mayhem. Of course, we know the Mayhem, they're going through a lot of roster changes or roster rotation changes, so to speak. And they actually looked much better than many expected today against the Gladiators.
Yeah, I think it was single individuals which really stood out. Mostly, I believe, their tanks. This is actually something I think the majority of the casters have always not criticized a lot, but it was
I would
guess
say
the most.
criticized.
Yes,
Okay, let's go with
fair.
criticized.
Totally
it was
fair.
their tank line, which usually was a little bit underwhelming or more on the underwhelming side, and I think they really stepped it up today. It wasn't enough to get a win against the Gladiators, but they certainly made it look a little bit closer than most people would have expected.
They're getting closer. There's still too many times where Swan's standing there with a full pristine shield and he's got a bubble on him and he's not swinging away. Like, those things
not
need to
that
be
easy,
eliminated
Hex.
and fixed.
I knew Hex was going to go there because we were backstage and he was talking about Swan. It was really agitating.
I'm like, swing your hammer. He's got like a full-on shield. He's got a bubble on him, and he's like just like Bob the Builder there, so waiting for something to present
But
himself.
I think from the Mayhem in this game, the biggest improvements I saw were from Zephyr and from moments from Swan on Bassam.
you're right.
And especially when they were able to put Zephyr over on Zarya. And so that says to me, first of all, that these guys are probably feeling the pressure and actually want to perform. But secondly, if this team had an improved tank line, whether that is replacements or whether that is these guys leveling up their play, they could be either a couple of roster moves or a little bit more coordination away from being able to make it close with some of these middle-of-the-pack teams. And I don't even think the Gladiators are a middle-of-the-pack team right now. I think they're actually pretty high up. So they might be looking at more than just that one kind of lucky win without the boombox on Mayhem, on Fusion rather, victory.
Well, let's stay on that because, the Florida Mayhem obviously are trending upward after this match, but we got a lot of Gladiators fans here in the arena. How do you feel about their performance today? How are they looking? Are they officially top 4 in your opinion?
I don't know, because I really expected them to dominate Florida, but I think Florida played much better than I was expecting. So, I mean, I would have liked to see the Gladiators play a little bit stronger. There were still moments when I questioned what Roar is doing. And they're not right on the same page yet with Roar and Decay where they need to be, where the top teams are. But they do continue to improve in that aspect a little bit. But Roar still makes some weird plays.
I think everybody agrees the gap between the top three and whoever the fourth team is enormous at the moment in the Overwatch League. It's the big three, the holy trinity, and then everybody else. and I think whether that is Gladiators or Dallas or Shanghai or London or whoever is vying for that fourth place spot, they've still got a long way to go.
And we were all ready to put Gladiators at 4. Had they come out and dominated today, and then the other teams that we saw today didn't look as dominant as they did, but the problem is New York, Vancouver, San Francisco just look like they don't even care they're playing against people.
Who's fourth? What does fourth mean?
It doesn't matter.
They ain't never getting down to fourth.
I feel well, at the end of the day, Gladiators still undefeated, so good for them. And guys, when we get back, AKM will join us at the desk, and we'll find out which analysts practiced their French and which one didn't. Don't go anywhere. The Watchpoint Post Show. Be right back.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back to the Watchpoint Post Show. Our next guest made a name for himself with some sick hit scan play, or Soldier 76, that made some other Overwatch players say, man, that dude's got to be cheating. He's definitely cheating. From the Dallas field, everybody give it up for AKM. Welcome to Watchpoint, dude.
Thank you.
How's it feel, man? How's it feel to be there, man?
I mean, pretty disappointed about the loss, but it feels great to be here and be able to talk about what happened.
I like it, man. I like that you're in good spirits. All right, so we know that the Dallas homestand is coming up next week, and I'm pretty sure you've seen the hype in this arena during the Battle of LA, all the fans going crazy, tearing the roof off. So how excited are you to play in front of your home teams or your home audience?
Pretty excited. We have the best fan in the world, so being able to go to Dallas and play in front of our crowd, the first home game is going to be something amazing for us as players.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Dallas?
Yeah, a couple times.
Okay, so what's your favorite dish like when you go down there? Is there any food that...
The barbecues.
The barbecue.
Yeah.
All right, so that's a recommendation for everybody at this desk. Make sure you go...
Barbecue.
Follow AKM to the barbecue place.
I'm not inviting you.
Oh, wow, why?
Just no answer. Just no.
That's perfect.
Oh man. Well, let's skip over to your home country, France. You know, we all know that the French pride is a real thing. It's very real here. We have a lot of French players. Are you specifically more motivated when you play against other French players? Specifically, maybe Paris Eternal.
I mean, a little bit, obviously, because it's like my friends and we trash talk each other a lot privately. So being able to face them on the stage, it's like we have a little bit extra motivation, but we're motivated for every game. Just against Frenchies a little bit, we have a little bit more.
A little bit more.
Yeah.
So you're saying you're trash talking each other. Who's winning the trash talk war in your little French off?
I mean, so far this season we haven't lost to a single Frenchie, so Unco and I are winning.
All right, nice.
Speaking of trash talk and French player, you actually had the honor of growing up and playing with your brother in wins. You guys played together a long time when I cast it. Would just tell me what's that like playing with your brother?
It's different. I mean, when you have your brother playing with you, it's like he's gonna be harder on you than anybody else. And same way goes to
Right.
him. So yeah, it's definitely good to have someone in your family with you.
Yeah.
But it's also harder because it's gonna be harder than me than anybody else.
But he just sat on the cart. Were you guys competitive or?
yeah, we are competitive, but yeah,
Yeah.
he sat on the card a lot.
Well, I mean,
alright.
but yeah, then you guys got to play together at the World Cup. What was that like?
It was great. It was great being like, I think it was his last Overwatch event, so
Yeah.
being able to be with him for his last one was great.
You still got a great Twitter. Everyone go follow Wins.
Yo, Dylan, I'm gonna go off script a little bit. I want to ask you a real spicy question. What Lucio player in the league could your brother replace right now?
Ooh.
I'm not answering that.
I was hoping you would say Cruz just to be spicy, but it's all good.
No. You're well known for your Soldier 76 play. But back when you were able to play that a lot, I mean, a lot of people were touting you as the best DPS player in the entire world. And coming into the Dallas Fuel, you've had to play a bunch of different stuff. I feel like you've really expanded your hero pool. And what you've been playing mostly is the Zarya for this team, at least recently. And I feel like a lot of people don't really talk about your Zarya that much. But I don't know whether you knew this as well, but you're top 3 in some actually fairly important categories. Hero damage done, final blows, top 3. Like, your stats across the board are actually pretty good. Do you feel like your Zarya play overall gets overlooked? Like, do you feel like you're better than people talk about you as?
I'm just working on myself like as an individual and as a player. So I've been working a lot on like off-season and stuff. I don't think I'm overlooked. I think right now I'm in a good spot. I'm not like underrated or overrated. I'm like seen as a good Zarya, I guess. But there's obviously better than me. But yeah, I've been working on it a lot. I've been working a lot on my like being able to play other heroes. So it feels great to like be seen as a good Zarya.
Right. Where do you think you rank in terms of, if you were going to give a personal ranking of yourself among the top Zarya players, or is there somebody notable that you try and emulate or learn from that plays on one of the other teams?
I will say maybe I could be top 5, but I'm also like not the best mechanical player out of the league, but I'm the one that like I see the game like really good, and I like to make the calls. I like to call a lot. I like to say the strategy a lot. So I think that's a good bonus for me to be able to include myself in that top 5. But obviously, mechanical players, like everyone is good as Zarya mechanically. It's all about like positioning and the rest of this.
Yeah.
You're just the one with the veteran game sense. Nothing like it, man. All right. Well, AKM, it's time to bring you into our Watchpoint family here. And our initiation process is conducted with rapid-fire questions. So the first thing that comes to your head, please answer in English. And you can definitely tell us how trash our French is on top of that. You ready for it?
Yes.
All right. AKM, qu'est-ce que ça veut dire?
What?
AKM, qu'est-ce que ça veut dire?
I have no idea what you're saying.
cheat sheet.
What does
Non,
AKM
qu'est-ce que ça veut
mean?
dire?
Oh, okay. It doesn't mean anything. It's
Nothing?
random name, yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
It doesn't stand for anything?
Yeah, I
or-
came up with it when I was really young. I just typed on my keyboard and I randomly came up with the name,
Oh, okay.
and then I kept with it.
I was
kept it,
expecting
like,
something going.
Underwhelming response.
I mean, AK is also a weapon, so like the budget AK-47 technically.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
We'll
like
go with that one. Yeah.
We can say that. We can come up with that.
All right, AKM. Alors, c'est une question très importante. Quel pays est le meilleur fromage?
Quel pays?
Ouais.
La France.
Le Suisse.
France.
Suisse.
France. We are-
No, I'm not accepting
Give
your
us
answer.
something. Come on.
All right, let me shame Semler. He tried to coach me on how to say this, and it did not work well. Quels sont vos commentateurs préférés?
Whoa, come on. I would say all of them, but okay. I have. Don't hate me, but I have a bit preference for Mitch.
It's fair.
I've known
That's
him
fair.
for a very
Alright.
long time, so he's like my favorite caster of everyone.
Okay.
Mine too.
Here's another one that you're gonna. It's the same thing. You're gonna have to pick from people. Qui est votre joueur français préféré?
Unco.
Uncle.
Uncle.
Yeah.
All
No
right.
bias. Okay.
All right. Let's try this again. Quand est-ce que nous verrons le soldat 76 en combat?
Definitely not this meta.
Okay.
Actually, maybe we'll see. Maybe this stage, but it's very unlikely. It has to be buffed first to be able to see it.
Okay. Ed Reaper?
Reaper?
Yeah.
Hell no.
Ed Bien Reaper?
Reaper, is that even a hero anymore?
Joueur seems
I'm
to
2
think
seconds
so.
away from getting up again. Your turn.
All right. Qui est le plus français des joueurs français?
I would say soon. He has
Pourquoi?
he has a really thick
L'accent?
accent, and yeah, I would say soon.
All right.
Okay.
I'd agree. All right, so I'm stuck reading Bren's question, and we tried to sabotage him. So now I'm like, I don't like being treated like Bren, but here we go. Quels sont les pires erreurs commis par l'empereur Napoléon durant la bataille de Waterloo en 1850?
1850. You didn't even try to read that one.
I tried very hard.
Someone,
from
someone translate,
Wisconsin.
please.
There you go. You can just
What were the
read
biggest
if you want.
mistakes Napoleon made during the Battle of Waterloo in 1815?
That's from Bren, by the way.
That's a Brent question. Definitely. a Brent
Really
question.
close to his
I
heart.
think the point as well is that he was giving you some British
Hey,
French
I am in
banter, and then Hex was the one that read it as well.
Poor Hex.
You're not a military commander, I wouldn't.
I'm in
expect.
Overwatch League, and not a history teacher.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Okay. Qui est le joueur le plus intelligent dans votre équipe?
We're all very smart.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
Safe answer.
Is that because your coaching staff instills these magical
brains.
brain waves into
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trade me
PR
in.
trains, right?
All right, well, merci for that. And AKM, hopefully our French didn't scare you away because it's time for our over-the-top moments of the day. Jump in with us, will you?
Sure.
All right, we're going to start this thing off with something that you might remember and might not. Bumper doing a little bit of flexing when he played against you guys. How do you feel when you see this type of stuff happen in game? Here it is right here. Bumper flexing a little bit, just taunting. Does that, when people emote, does it annoy
he
you?
deserved it. He deserved it. He played really well. They played really well as a team. So
Yeah.
a little bit of BM is not bad.
And it's also overtime. It's over anyway. It's not like
Yeah.
mid-fight, you know?
Yeah, it's not mid-fight. That's when you're really popping off, when you taunt or emote mid-fight. All right, moving up to the next play. We got Mono and Jonak, switching their roles up a little bit. Mono on that Reaper. I'm just gonna leave it at that, because Mono and Reaper, that was dope.
Yeah, you were back there squeaking like it's your birthday.
You can win with Reaper.
We
This is
found the
proof right
one
here.
situation Reaper's useful. Very last second stalling.
All right.
Oh, that's my
Anubis.
favorite.
Next up
Loving
is
it.
Hurag with a very unfortunate
Wait for it.
Oh, lordy,
Boy.
lordy. I just want to point out, right, this guy has been on the roster that won, he was on GCP Sun when he won Apex Season 4 and APAC Premier. He was on London when they won Overwatch League Season 1. He was on Runaway when they won Contenders. Now he's on Titans.
It's because of mind game plays like that.
Craziness. Of course, Short for Sebastian getting all the damage boosts in the world.
We tried to do the map here, and we just came up with it's a metric loads. That's it.
Yeah,
The metric
lots.
ton.
just run at that point. Just run.
I
There's
wish
nothing you
they'd
can-
also used Raw's ultimate as well, then he would have had all the damage in the world.
And last but not least, our boy Golden Boy returning to the fray, making his appearance here on Overwatch League. Very good moment to see the global icon and national treasure back here in the Blizzard Arena.
Yeah, we done ourselves here. Now people expect that to happen every week. We don't know how to get him back every week. So.
I don't think we can afford him to come back every week.
Yeah, man.
The
he's
guy's
big
on
time
national
now.
television.
Yeah, man. He's too big for us. But it was good having him here. It was good the fans were cheering his name. It was
Yeah, that was
lovely
great.
to see.
Just inflated his ego.
All right, well, let's check out our Twitch cheer leaderboard. Hex, you're going to do this. You're jumping in because you're in
The
Brent's
honor.
spot, and I typically throw this to Brent.
What,
so.
the team names? I can read team names. This
Just go ahead and read.
This is
With
simple.
excitement, please.
Do it with
Well, I
excitement.
think you pronounce that first one Atlanta, right? Yeah.
Oh, you nailed it.
Yeah, Gwangju is the next one clearly,
Clearly.
and then that's Newark, right? Which is in New Jersey, yeah, Philadelphia. Everyone knows that.
And our individual Twitch leaderboard.
Astro is
that?
paying for his. Why is Astro cheering for his own
Is that
team?
actually Hastra?
It's
that-
gotta be.
Cheering for Dallas?
Dylan, is that actually Hastro?
I have no idea, but hey,
hope so.
we have to be in the leaderboard somehow.
Future Poker Star that's not how you actually win money by just giving it away. So I doubt that name a
It's
little
an
bit.
investment.
Yeah.
Shouts out to number 7, as per usual.
Yeah, he's a day early.
A couple days early, yeah.
So usually only
Couple
showing
days
up on the
early.
weekend.
I don't know what
or-
day it is.
Indeed. Anyways, guys, there's a lot of great Overwatch in store for you tomorrow. So when we get back, we'll let you know exactly what we're watching for. Don't go anywhere. More Watchpoint coming up.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.
Looking ahead at tomorrow's schedule, we kick things off with the NYXL against the Atlanta Reign. The Fusion take on the Outlaws, and the Valiant and the Justice both looking for win number 2 on the season. And then the Spark against the Charge to round off the day. Now, with all that on the agenda for tomorrow, Zoe, what are you watching for?
I think I'm going to take the second game of the day. Houston Outlaws going up against the Philadelphia Fusion. I think it's going to be a good one. I hope it's going to be a close one. I did like that both teams looked much improved against very hard opponents. So facing off against someone with a potential more similar skill level might actually give us quite an entertaining series. Or so I hope.
I feel it.
Los Angeles, Valiant, Washington, Justice is a game that's going to happen, and I'm going to watch it. I watched a lot of good Overwatch today. I felt I got spoiled. I need to be brought down a peg, and I got to see what that chaos looks like. It's like watching daytime television. Someone's going to throw a chair. Someone's going to win. I'm into it.
Oh, my goodness.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to go with Philly Houston as well. I mean, I think that could be close, but I have nothing that can value that.
I just keep thinking about Brent's trade proposal between Kareev and Corey.
Yeah. Yeah, we can see.
is
I mean, one of them might be the MVP for the other team.
Player of the match.
Yeah, possible.
I think it's going to be a close game.
I think
At the very least.
I think it might be. Yeah, I think Valiant is still like a step above the bottom 2, actually. But
Yeah.
again, I'm the biggest Valiant apologist there ever has been.
Hey, we'll find out tomorrow. Well, guys, be sure to get your Overwatch League All Access Pass because coming right up after Watchpoint, you won't want to miss a live Q&A with Closer from the Dallas Field exclusively with that All Access Pass on Twitch. But guys, that's going to do it for us here on Watchpoint. Thanks again for AKM for joining us and Hex for coming off the bench. We'll be back on tomorrow for the pre-show at 3:30 Pacific. But until then, we'll see you later. Oh, and send Brent Get Well tweets. He needs to get better.
But keep him quarantined.